Welcome to episode 34 of Cutscene Combos. We have a very busy week this week. We've got the character profile on the leader, She-Hulk episode 5, Rings of Power episode 3. We've got a Disney and Marvel's game showcase to go over. We've got Marvel news from D23. We've got Star Wars news from D23. We've got a final thoughts before the premiere of Andor next week. We get to argue over what happens if Gamora and Miles Morales to fight and all that shit. But first, Hori, how was your week?
Feels like it's been as jam-packed as today's episode's going to be.
Mate, this week has taken forever and 30 seconds all at the same time.
I feel like the end of last week, there was lots going on with work and stuff, but things were not too crazy. And then it's just as this week has gone on, it was like, okay, it's getting busier. Then it was like yesterday, I was like, okay, I'm on top of things. But in that like 24 hours of yesterday, just everything just ramped up. And then today I feel like I've been non-stop.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad thing. It's just, yeah, heads all over the place, juggling like multiple different things. So yeah, busy week. Big announcement this weekend for KCP with work.
Oh, how exciting.
Yes. Very exciting.
I'm sure Hori hasn't broken any NDAs and let slip what that might be to me.
Got other big announcements coming next month. Obviously, all our esports kick off again next month.
Yeah.
So lots going on at work, and I feel like this month's not going to get any quieter anytime soon. So
everything right now in all facets of life is ramping up, and I don't see it slowing down until the new year.
Yeah, honestly, until like that January bit of lull, I feel like I'm going to be non-stop. But it's a good thing. It's just
it's not like we're doing stuff we hate. It's just constant.
Yeah, exactly.
And we want, and like you and me both, we like to do things right. So the exhaustion of everything is sometimes a little bit much when you want to make sure you're doing it right and giving it your best, even though there's just so much happening.
Yeah, making sure not to half-ass anything. Just
exactly.
It's a rush. But yeah, that's been my week. How's your week been?
My week's been alright. We're in a manic period at work at the minute with lots of higher intensity work that I'm not as proficient in.
Right.
So it's a lot more mentally draining for me because I'm still learning a lot of the elements of that part, as well as it being a lot of it. So like the second half of this week's not too bad because I'm back doing like what has been the main part of my job and the stuff that I'm confident in doing.
Yep.
So like I'm being able to use that as a bit of a mental reset. But I know we've got a busy couple of weeks coming down the pipeline. But I mean, such is life. We kick on, we make sure we do the best we can. And as long as you do the best you can, no one's really going to complain too much.
Exactly. As long as you're doing above the bare minimum, people are generally happy. So
Exactly. But let's get cracking with it, because as we said, big Buster Boy episode. Feels like every episode's a big Buster Boy episode at this point.
At the moment, like.
But I refuse to admit that like pushing 2-hour episodes is going to become the norm. So
I don't know. Like
shit ain't slowing down. You know what it is? Before we get into this anymore, what it is we started off doing Marvel stuff, and that started off slowly when we first started doing it.
Yeah.
So we let the other nerd stuff that we both enjoy slip in.
Yeah.
And now that everything has ramped up and we're still doing all of it, we're like, oh shit.
Well, the problem was like we started off with Marvel,
and also, sorry, fuck Disney for doing a 3-episode premiere of Andor.
Well, this is the thing, right? We started on Disney stuff at the start of the year. Things were quiet. Unknowingly, at the start of the year, did we know that Disney were going to fucking ramp up as much as they have done with bringing out Star Wars shows? I'm like, well, let's mix in Star Wars. We're both into it. Like, we're watching it with Disney Plus and stuff, so it's like it makes sense. And then that's ramping up. and then
they
they
started
having
overlapping their shows.
Now they started overlapping, and then Amazon comes along and like, oh, the Lord of the Rings show. We know you're all like same fandom, all love Lord of the Rings as well. So like, oh well, we have to talk about Rings of Power. Like it's on topic, like trend. Like I'm watching it.
What I will say is, it's become easier to not risk talking about it when we're playing games because there's just so much we wouldn't even be able to scratch the surface.
Oh no, yeah, like there's so much happens in a week now that it's just like I genuinely believe this 2 hours is like the new standard now. So if you're a listener who used to enjoy the hour-long episodes that were nice and kind of bite-sized compared to this, no, it's not coming back. Let's be real.
Just go watch the segments and just pick and choose. If you're not into Lord of the Rings, just watch the She-Hulk segment and the character profiles and stuff like that. And if you're just here for Lord of the Rings, just watch Lord of the Rings segment. But anyway, we will actually get into it now. That's the first of hopefully and only hopefully sidetrack that we get on. Hopefully we manage to keep our head down. Anyway, character profile this week. It was actually really easy because we'll get into why it was really easy a little bit later. But obviously, as a result of what was announced at D23, it got confirmed that the leader is making an MCU debut. I'll explain why it's not an MCU debut later on. But I thought, okay, this is a brilliant time, brilliant character who people might know the name of but won't know a lot about. Character profile, boom, easy. So this is what that is. The leader is also known as Samuel Stearns. He first appeared in Tales to Astonish number 62 all the way back in September 1964.
God, that's ages ago.
That is a long old time ago.
Yeah.
Proper OG character. And his was old school superhero and supervillain style. Science accident gone wrong.
Classic.
So he was working as a janitor, security guard, something like that, at a chemicals lab, science lab. And there was they were doing gamma radiation experiments. And there was an accident, and he got a big old dose of it. Do we know anyone else big and green who got a big dose of gamma radiation? Anyway.
No, a couple, no.
But it was really interesting the way the gamma radiation affected him. It did cause his skin to go green like everyone else. Oh. The big difference, though, is it didn't make his muscles grow. It made his brain and head grow, and he became super intelligent.
Well,
and it follows what is now known as like a trope, but wasn't at the time, of he was a below average intelligence man who was belittled by his family because his brothers and the older siblings were so much smarter and more successful than him. Right. So when he got this big old dose of radiation, he got the brains he never had. Whereas with Bruce, he was always smart, but he was pushed about and beaten and bullied and stuff. So he became big and strong. And a lot of the time, especially when you look back at old superheroes, when they get their powers, it kind of gives them the gap that misses out in their life. And then from there, they'll either go, I have the powers to get revenge, or they go, oh, I'm now a well-rounded person who can help people in multiple different ways.
Yes.
But basically, so he was bullied and treated like shit for not being that intelligent. But, I mean, his head grew, like, disturbingly large. He became very green and super intelligent. He consumed information at an astonishing rate. He retained all that information. He understood it. And that led to him trying to take over governments and become this big master plan. Right. And I kind of like him as a conceptual villain for the Hulk, because it's kind of like, Bruce can battle his intellect, but Bruce can't survive like a rocket to the face. So it's kind of them early stages of the Bruce and Hulk actually having to work together. Right. And they have clashed heads a lot of the time, as all of the gamma radiation heroes do. Kind of. Yeah, gamma bros tend to knock about together. But of course, the leader has been villains for other characters, and of course, he will be in Captain America 4. And I I mean, it makes no. I'll hold on to it. We'll
Okay.
keep stuff together. So yeah, that is the leader. Really cool character. If used right in films, you could have a really fun plot surrounding him and his just mega intelligence compared to the other people.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't. He obviously got mentioned that he was returning or making the MCU debut or whatever, but I didn't really know who it was. So
It's weird. He's a really OG comic book character, but I feel like if people were to see like a shot from a comic book with him in it, they'd be like, "Oh, I recognize that guy," but they wouldn't be able to tell you who it was. I feel like he kind of sits in that bracket.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited. But on to another green person.
I was like, how are you, what smooth transition are you coming up with here?
She-Hulk episode 5 came out yesterday. So at some point, based on when you are watching this.
The previous Thursday.
Yeah. So I'm kind of categorizing it as episodes 1, 2, and 3 were very good. And they were the baseline. Episode 4 was much better than the first 3. And then episode 5, I think, isn't quite as good as episode 4, but it's still better than them first 3 that are setting us up. I think it's, like I said, better than them first base episodes. I don't think it quite, for me, hit the levels of episode 4, because I don't think it had quite as much of the comedy.
Yeah, I was going to say, wasn't as much funny humor moments in this episode.
Yeah, it was missing out on a Madison-esque character who you just kind of point and laugh at.
But at the same time,
the story itself, I think, was a bit stronger.
Yes. I also like how, I think we talked about it last week, the fact that each episode was going to have its own like lawyer problem they're dealing with. And we weren't sure if the Titania thing was going to be a bigger grand issue, or if it was just going to be for an episode. And it seems like it was just it seems a bit of both, in my opinion. It seems like she's not done trying to get at She-Hulk, but
I think it's going to be kind of proper classic villain of just, I'm going to find a new way every week to make your life awkward and difficult.
Yeah, I'm going to keep taking you to court for something else, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. This just kind of, I'm going to be a constant thorn in your side and you're going to hate it. Instead of like the more modern version of, oh, big fiasco, you must beat me. Yeah. And then they deal with them and move on to the next one. And it's just kind of, no, I'm just going to be here annoying you constantly.
But I think I enjoyed the whole how she had to prove that she actually does use the name of She-Hulk. I thought it was hilarious that she decided, well, best way to do it is to just chuck my Tinder profile up in court. And
yeah,
I mean, it's as soon as like she was trying to figure it out, you're like, well, just get the guy that left when she wasn't She-Hulk, because he'll happily say that, yeah, she is She-Hulk. I thought it was funny that she had to re-interact with them all. Yeah. And how they perceived the date.
It's doing the episodic feel of a comedy very well, while also nailing that this is one continuous story feel.
Yeah, there's like they're tying little ties in all the time to previous stuff.
Exactly. I really enjoyed it. I thought the court case and everything surrounding that was very interesting. It's furthering that story we've talked about as the overarching story of her becoming more accepting of She-Hulk being a part of her life.
Yeah.
I think, I forget her name, Jamala Jamil, who's playing Titania, was brilliant in this, and we really got to see that kind of over-exaggerated influencer personality.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very funny. I enjoyed how they're starting to, like, you've got Nikki who's like, she's got to dress better, we need to find someone who can do the dressing. And like the Iron Man 3 trainers. I need someone in Q.
As soon as he's like, oh, I've got the Iron Man 3 sneakers are coming out and I need someone in Q to help. Basically, because it's one pair per person. Yeah. Immediately I was like, one, so true to like sneaker culture and what actually happens in like queuing up for sneakers doesn't happen as often as it used to because a lot of it's done online now. 2, immediately thought of our friend Josh, who's been a guest because he does a lot of reselling.
He is
And I was like,
scalper scum.
I was like, this is a thing Josh would try and pull off.
100%.
And then 3, I was like, how do I get a pair of Iron Man 3s? Are they robotic trainers? Have they got jets in the bottom of them?
I like to imagine that they are just the shittiest, cheapest, trashiest shoes ever.
Oh, see,
And like during the blip, Tony just like sold off the rights to Iron Man to prove to Pepper that he wasn't going to be Iron Man anymore.
Well,
and they've just been like,
I like to think that they are trainers, like Nike-esque dunks or something that look like the Iron Man suit. It's like boots. And people just think, oh yeah, these are sick.
Yeah, no, like even the way he was talking about it was very true to kind of like sneaker culture, hoodie culture.
Yeah. The whole fake Avengers or Avengers.
Yeah.
Depending on your fancy.
Was hilarious.
Yeah.
I also enjoyed the I need a favor. Well, you know that I'll need a favor back with interest.
Yes.
And it's like we all have a friend like that who's really good at helping with stuff, but when you owe them big time.
I also like though that she 100% made the deal seem like a good thing when she's like, well, I'm wavering the interest. I'm having my favor already. Yeah. And he was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. And she probably didn't.
Even though the favor she was asking was a lot fucking bigger.
Yeah, and she didn't really care about the interest probably.
But it's just funny. I'm enjoying the interactions.
Yes, and obviously we got a tease linking in with this designer that makes superhero clothes.
I mean, I'm not the only one who saw this coming, right?
Oh, I had an idea. As they were linking it up, I was like, we're either going to get the tease to Daredevil, which we do, they pay out on, or I was like, we're going to see some like reference to another superhero, or there's going to be some like slight Easter egg or tie-in that brings this character in, like becoming like a quite an important character in MCU, but no one ever discusses about him or something, or we don't really know anything about him, or never will.
You also had like when the designer was giving her the clothes, it's like, oh, I made you this as well. That's obviously like the purple singlet we've seen her in clips.
Yeah.
That's going to be her superhero costume.
I love the idea. I don't know, because obviously, I presume this character is just something they've come up with. I can't, unless there is a reference to someone similar in the comics, but like, I like the idea of a like high-end fashion designer sees the market like whole for, oh, I could be a superhero designer.
So as a general rule, it was probably around the 90s, people did kind of start to ask the question, okay, so we know Spider-Man makes his suit himself.
Mm-hmm.
We know Batman has all this money.
Mm-hmm.
But what about them heroes who have really complicated suits and superpowers that don't make it themselves but don't have a lot of money? Like, where are they get? And people genuinely started like, okay, this is kind of a little bit like silly. There's like these hundreds of heroes. This is definitely like a part of the market that someone would fill.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you see it more in like Invincible and stuff.
Okay.
Where there's like the legitimate characters that like in Invincible. Sorry, this is fucking tangent. His dad, when he gets his powers, takes him to his guy who does own a tailor shop but does superhero stuff on the backside. And he's like, I came here to get my suit. I'm now bringing my son here who's got powers to get his suit. That kind of vibe.
We saw...
I don't know if Marvel does have like an explicitly named character.
Yeah.
Or if it's just kind of as and when they'll make one up.
Because obviously in the Daredevil on Netflix, he went to that guy where Fisk got his suit and he had him. Yeah. So we know there's people that will do these like backroom sort of like design things for them. I like the idea though. This guy, the fashion designer, gave me big Edna vibes from...
Edna Mode vibes, 100%. Yeah.
Being like, oh, what do you need, sort of thing. Yeah, I thought that was cool. Obviously, there's the dress that they teased, and then right at the end there was a hat box that had a Daredevil,
yellow Daredevil cowl in it. I'm so excited.
Which I think there's a few episodes, I think it's like a couple episodes back now. We were trying to figure out how She-Hulk and Daredevil were going to cross paths, whether she was going to be in New York or he was going to come to her.
I really hope it's something stupid, like he gets one of her suits and she goes looking for him.
See, I think he's going to come to LA or whatever to collect his suit in person, and obviously something's going on and he meets up with She-Hulk because he's there. He's like, oh, other superhero person should probably make connections.
I also love the little lie about she's going to be an Avenger.
Yeah, such a they're not quite an Avenger, but they're going to be sort of like bright lying your way into the club.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Yeah,
Fake
literally.
it till you make it.
Well,
I was a little bit upset that was a nice post-credit scene.
Yeah, considering there was a rumor at the beginning of this show coming out that it was on every episode, and we've had one every episode.
I'll be honest, just to piss off the really weird Netflix Daredevil fans, I really wanted the post-credit scene to be Charlie Cox picking up his cow and going, "It looks great." Just so all the hardcore Netflix fans who are convinced Daredevil doesn't know how to be funny start losing their mind. But it also would have been a very toxic week on the internet, so it wouldn't have been worth it.
I think overall, though, I was ashamed there was no post-credit scene, but hopefully that comes back next week.
Yeah. Also, there are lots of rumors that the sexual tension between Jen/She-Hulk and Daredevil is going to be insane, and I'm so here for it.
Oh, that'll be great. Oh, there was also like her making friends with that other lawyer.
Yeah, there has to be a lot of sexual tension between them because Daredevil is a man whore in the comics, an absolute man whore.
Well, he's got
he is like the worst Catholic boy ever.
Well, we know that. It's not hard to believe.
And like the idea that Jen is trying to find people she can relate to today, and then this guy comes in who's a lawyer, who's good looking, has superpowers, so understands everything. The idea that Jen's just gonna be like, yes,
and he can take a beating.
Yeah, like come on, he ain't gonna be scared of getting rough.
No. Yeah, that was gonna be good.
Phenomenal episode. If you don't like She-Hulk, if you haven't liked She-Hulk up until now, and you're about to comment and going, "Oh, She-Hulk mid," just stop watching the show at this point.
Yeah, like
we're halfway through. If you're still not liking it, don't watch it. That's fine.
And if you are still watching it and you're saying you don't like it, I think you need to rethink because you clearly are liking it enough to watch it. So
yeah, I think you're just trying to be different potentially.
Yeah. Or just trying to get attention. Either or.
Maybe.
Onto
your domain.
Yeah, my domain of
boy.
Rings of Power, episode 3. Now, we had a fun week, didn't we, on YouTube?
Mate.
It's exactly.
People are mad.
I told you. And people that watched last week's episode, I started the episode with, like, I was ready for people to come out with Flame because I knew it was going to happen. I was so ready.
So let's be clear here, though. We didn't even put, like, the full breaking down of the episode into shorts because it was like an hour that was just we just addressed like the criticism that people have had for the show.
Yeah, there was
people were livid. There was one guy who was like replying to other people's comments for us. It's like, bro, you're obsessed. Take a break.
It's exactly what I thought would happen. Is there was a very loud. I would call them the loud minority because from also looking on the internet, it's been very well received, this show, and Lord of the Rings fans that are just pleased to be back in Middle Earth. Like I am.
I have not spoken to a single person in real life who's not enjoying it.
Exactly. I think it's just a very loud minority that are kicking off about a lot of things. Here's the thing. It's like if you're quite a hardcore Lord of the Rings fan and have been since the first films come out and you've read all the books and you're really into it, I get you wanted a show that stayed true to all that. You were never going to get that. If you don't like that Amazon's doing their own thing, don't watch it. Just don't, like, Amazon doing its own thing isn't changing the Tolkien books. Like, it's all still there. It's all the same. It's never going to change. Just because Amazon's doing their own show in their own way doesn't change what Lord of the Rings is. So, like, sure, you've had your moment. You've, like, voiced your anger about what the show. Just stop watching it. Move on with your life. Go back and watch the original films and you'll be happy again. Go read the books of the Second Age.
Or maybe accept that it's not what you wanted it to be and try and watch it through the lens of just enjoying it.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, just don't watch it. It's not worth the stress. But if you're like, okay, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be, let me try and change what my expectations and see if I can just enjoy it as a TV show, try that.
And here's the
but
thing.
if it's not for you, that's fine. You don't have to like everything.
Voice your dislike.
But let people like stuff.
Here's the thing. Voice your dislike at Amazon themselves. Don't go after the actresses or actors.
Or us.
And don't go after the fans that are enjoying the show. Just because they enjoy something you don't, doesn't mean you can, like, go at them in the comments. We don't care. We've got thick skin. We'll just fucking meme you and, like, troll you back.
You don't post, like, up to 1,000 videos on the internet and not accept that people are going to get angry at you.
So yeah, we got the heat that I knew was coming.
There was a moment where I thought it was going to really kick off, like, as I was going to bed the Sunday night, because, like, I had, like, 8 comments just as I was going to sleep. I was like, this could be chaos when I wake up. But fortunately, there was no more.
But overall, like, my brother-in-law, very much into Lord of the Rings. He's read the books. He watched our episode and he was messaging me. And we joked about the fact that I messed up the rings and who gets what rings. Got that the wrong way around. But
you got the numbers wrong.
I got the numbers right, but to the people wrong.
Okay, got you.
But it is what it is. It's what it is. Episode 3. Now, this is a week ago a week ago from you listening to this. So trying to recall this. I should have probably rewatched it, but
I watched it I think on Tuesday, and even I've forgotten everything. Not everything.
We didn't get any more of Khazad Dûm or the dwarves or what's going on with that, which was a little bit good. I wanted more of that, but I get it.
That's because you're a huge dwarven nerd.
Yeah. We saw. Now I'm going to try and remember this from. I don't remember how it opened. I think it opened with. Oh, so the end of episode 2 was Galadriel looking up at some ship that was saving them. No idea who it was. That's how it cut. We start with them on the ship, in the hold of the ship, like somewhat unsure if they're prisoners or what, with her new human friend who she doesn't really know much about, who was also a castaway.
The Halbrand?
I think that's how you say, yeah. Halbrand. I think just Halbrand.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's a second day or not. Is it Halbrand or Halbrand?
I think it's Halbrand.
That guy.
Which I will say, Halbrand is not someone from the books. So this is an Amazon character.
Yeah, he's got some anger problems.
So they're on a ship and they're introduced to Elendil.
The captain. Yeah.
Elendil, who we'll get to how he fits into the books later, but they arrive at Númenor, which
gorgeous,
beautiful looking city. It looks so gorgeous and vibrant and like paradise because it's basically the Atlantis of Lord of the Rings.
So let me just make sure I kind of understood like this island.
Yep.
So during the war, basically all humans stood with Morgoth. The humans who live on this island are the descendants of the humans who fought with the elves.
Yeah. So humans, it seems, as I've looked more into it, humans in the south, there was a lot of them that stood with Morgoth, and there was humans that didn't. And the humans that didn't and fought alongside the elves then gave them this island, and like basically gave it to them, and they set up there, and it obviously flourished. You'll have noticed, whether you picked up on it, like it's like the huge statue that looked very welcoming, probably gave you similar vibes to the ones we see besides the river in Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
So Númenor is Atlantis. There, I don't know if you. I don't know if it's going to be in this season. Númenor is a pretty important thing in the Second Age, and Gondor and there's another city and I'm forgetting its name, but Gondor and the city which was where those hand statues were, that was all like broken in Lord of the Rings, are built by some people from Númenor that went back to Middle Earth and settled. So that's why there's like a visual similarity there, which I know some Lord of the Rings fans will probably have picked up on. They didn't know that. But Númenor is not very welcoming of elves anymore.
So is this just kind of as they've grown up, they've like the story's been retold and like younger generations have gone, elves kind of seem like dicks, by the way.
I think it's a bit of a sort of like identity crisis of we've flourished, but there's still this kind of feeling of like, well, this was just given to us by the elves, but we don't need the elves. And this like sudden sort of dislike that the elves will live forever and they think they're superior, which, well...
I mean, yeah, was the island really theirs to give?
Yeah, the elves, like, so something that I don't think I'm explained very well is the elves are descendants of gods. So it's essentially like the original elves, generally, in a way, just brought that land up from the sea. Like when the world that Middle Earth is set in, like, was created by the gods, they like pulled that land up out of the sea and made an island. So essentially, like, yeah, the elves can give it away. That's like...
I don't know, bro. That sounds very colonist. And as English people, we must be careful in this territory.
True. But yeah, so we saw she met the Queen and wasn't very well received. Didn't read the room very well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd be walking into an island where people clearly aren't a fan of me going, I demand a ship.
Yeah, which obviously Halbrand being a bit more savvy with, I guess, human culture and how humans
having
are.
Two brain cells to rub together.
Yeah, like talked them out a bit and gave them chance or whatnot, and we saw all that which I thought the way that the visuals of Númenor, the way that it's looks and presented and all the set, like, visually looked stunning. I actually quite enjoyed like the whole interaction between how Elendil seems to be more favorable towards...
I mean, his name is literally Elf Friend.
Well, yeah. As we find out, he is descendant from a family that were from Middle Earth and essentially fought alongside the elves and is an elf friend. Shows that there is still some people on Númenor that clearly do still have favor towards the elves and don't hate them like they're being told to. Which we saw that interaction when Elendil found Galadriel trying to steal a ship or thinking about stealing a ship.
Planning her escape.
Yeah. And then they went off out of the city, which this has been a bit of a talking point on the internet of this shot of them on horses going along the beach, and it was like slow-mo, and it was kind of a bit like, this is where I kind of agree on some of this one little bit of hate that this episode got, which was more just like, it kind of felt a bit weird and unnecessary.
Yeah, I do get that.
I was like, I don't really get the need for this shot, but okay.
Unless they're going to try and force a romantic story, but that'd be a bit weird.
I don't know, like, I wonder if they're just trying to play into like the horse sort of iconography, because I'm pretty sure in the film she creates the waves that look like horses, right? And I'm pretty sure...
Oh, so maybe that's
the elves.
That up.
So whether they're trying to just play into the fact that elves and horses have this, I don't know. But it was a cool shot, but it just felt a bit out of place. But they go to like a old library, and that's where she finds out and discovers that the symbol that everyone was talking about was Sauron's symbol, or she thought was the Dark Lord symbol, was actually a map. And as we discussed last week, the Southlands are becoming Mordor.
So this is what I wanted to mention quickly, because this is a good time. This village that we've been seeing, the Schumann village, where our elf friend Alonde, who's been kidnapped, where he was stationed.
Yes. Yep.
Apparently, you can see Mount Doom in the background of a couple of shots.
Oh, possibly.
Or a mountain that people are convinced is Mount Doom, to try and show people, yeah, look, the evil is spreading. That's Mount Doom.
I haven't actually gone back but that's probably true. It's probably a large mountain that is essentially like, look, this is Mount Doom.
Yeah, it's kind of like just a mountain stood there by itself, like centre shot, but in the background. And like when I saw the screenshot, I was like, oh yeah, I'm surprised. That kind of makes sense with everything we know at this point.
Yeah, so I think what we were saying last week, and I was bringing up that the villages seem to be in the Southlands, and to the east is where this evil is coming from, which, I mean, still, they could be down the south, and to the east is where that whole area is what becomes Mordor. And they use that symbol, and you can see it on the map, and it like pans out and shows you that's the mountain ranges, and yeah. So then I think we leave that and we go to our elf friend who's been captured, being dragged along under some shade with people working, and then he gets chucked in with a couple of his other elf friends from...
I'm not sure how I feel about the first black elf we see ending up being a slave. I'm just going to throw it out there.
I hadn't even thought about that, but I don't know if it's necessary. I guess people haven't really questioned that because it's like the orcs did enslave people, and like...
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. But when there's been so much backlash about just elves being black full stop,
yeah,
to have the black elf become a slave, I'm just kind of like...
True.
I've got a horrible feeling and I'm not generalising here, there's some just dickhead who sat there and gone, yeah, good, fuck that elf. And I'm just kind of like, there's probably some racist who's got really happy about the fact that the one black elf has ended up being a slave. I feel like that's one of the moments where you just need another pair of eyes to go, okay, are we sure this is how we want to go, bearing in mind we know what the reaction to a black elf is going to be anyway?
I guess the tough thing is, though, it's like you need to tell that story, like, because so he's chucked to work, his other friends are there, they're digging what it appears to be, when there's a pan out shot, it is a trench that is like...
It looks like there's loads of other trenches as well.
Well, it seems like there's one major trench, which then, to me, means they're digging towards something. And they're keeping it covered because the orcs don't like sunlight. The ones in Lord of the Rings were bred and so that they could fight in sunlight and it doesn't affect them. They were bred in a way that got rid of that weakness, which is why the ones in Lord of the Rings, it doesn't affect them. But in here,
selective breeding.
Yeah, essentially. They're covered up, like they've got a trench covered up and they're doing all that. I love the fact that he gets there and they immediately start planning how to break the fuck out.
Very elven, to be fair.
The whole scene with like forcing them to drink water so they drop their guard was kind of like, you could tell something was coming and you're like, something's dodgy here. And then it was like, as soon as the third one started taking a drink, they just slit his throat.
Which was fucking brutal, by the way.
Yeah. He's just got reunited with some of his own, and he thinks, oh, we've got a chance that we could work together, and then one of them just gets absolutely just executed in front of you.
But yeah, you've also got to remember, though, like we've said, elves in this universe are immortal unless they die. Well, no, I don't mean like die as in die of old age, like get killed, die of an accident. So to watch, it's not like we're both under the age of 30. We've probably both been to a funeral, if not multiple funerals.
Yep.
It's not strange for a human to go to another human's funeral. For an elf, it would be strange to see another elf die.
Well, yeah, it means an elf only dies in combat. So but usually it would only happen if you're in a war or something.
Yeah.
it's a rare occasion that someone just gets straight up murdered in front of you, essentially. Obviously they did the whole little trying to break out, and he broke the covers and burnt them or whatnot.
Yeah.
All for it to seem like it's going well, and the captain guy gets up on the ridge and just stops dead.
Yeah.
And you're like, huh? And then he turns around, he's got an arrow in his chest.
Yeah, and then just get obliterated with even more.
Yeah. There was one comment I saw online, which was like, if you paused on that and looked at the arrows are like perfect feathered arrows, which doesn't scream very orc.
No.
Which either...
No, I mean, they could have taken them off all the elves they've captured for slave labour.
This is what I was... The way I interpret that is, well, they've just, like, scavenged them off elves.
My question is, how has no one noticed all these elves going missing?
So... there's got to be that whole troop of them that was at the watchtower or whatever must have all got captured, because there's no way like the captain and a couple of them got captured and no one's realized. Like, it must have been the whole group as they were packing up and preparing to leave. Yeah. And
because they all left a little bit before Andor because he wanted to go back and see his human girlfriend.
So yeah, he fucked off to go, and then they were obviously packing up and getting ready to discharge. So yeah, it could have happened at any point to them. They might have crossed the paths of where the orcs are on their way back, and got caught up in it or whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's clearly no knowledge that this is going on. My thought is, if they're tunneling somewhere, I think it's them tunneling towards Mount Doom.
Maybe.
I think they're trenching out that way. Obviously we saw them, like, he had to chop down the tree, which gave him the line of sight of things. But yeah, he's in a dire situation.
For sure. He's going to have to pull off some fucking clutch shit to get out of this one.
But I feel like this is finally the first indication of what the fuck's going on.
Yeah. The evil is back. Do you know what? And I'm going to do it again, and people probably hated it last time. It's very much got vibes of Voldemort's back, but no one's willing to admit it yet.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, something's not right here, but we're going to keep our head down and pretend everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
When it's not. And as a result, they're going to get caught off guard.
So right at the end, as
yes, maybe
the guard gets shot, and then they pull Alban down or whatever, they call for Adar, and we get a very blurred shot of whoever this is walking up.
Yeah, walking up.
This is apparently it's an elf, and it's a corrupted elf.
Oh.
And this is an Amazon character. This is an Amazon character. So there were some corrupted elves I've discovered, but yeah, they weren't as common, but it happened. So apparently this is a corrupted elf. Apparently it's an Amazon character. So it's unlikely to be Sauron. Also, regarding the whole thing that was confusing you last week about you thought Sauron escaped. So I've learned or sort of got to the bottom of that. When he can essentially give up his form. So he will corrupt or create a form, which is why, but it takes a lot for him to remake a form.
Got yeah.
So it's probably, I think the case is he's probably given up his form and gone into hiding or whatnot, which is why in Lord of the Rings he becomes the Eye, because he doesn't have a form. So I think whether he has a form at the moment or not, I don't know. But that's the whole thing of why someone could become Sauron.
So that's why there's so much, what if this person, this person, and this person, because he's formless, so he could take the form of anyone.
Yes. Corrupt them and then take them over.
They're really having fun with playing with, is this stranger Gandalf or not, aren't they?
Yes. So we got some more of the Harfoots. We saw them doing a bit of a festival in the good old Hobbit style, lots going on. They're dancing through the forest, doing a little like harvest-looking festival.
Vibey as fuck, to be honest.
Yeah, it looked amazing. I love the whole like cottage core look that they've got going for these hobbits. There was obviously then the stranger rocks up mid speech while so they're remembering people lost. In other words, people that get left behind because either they're injured or slow or something happens to them. We find out that the hobbit girl that is, I forget her name, and she's trying to keep the Pridefoot
Nori.
one. No, not Nori's friend, the one that's always trying to keep her. Her last name's Pridefoot. And when they're reading out names, we realize that basically all of her family were one of the ones that were being remembered. So you suddenly realize, oh, she's on her own and an orphan. But yet she's still trying to help everyone. She's going to be
our hero of the entire show. Because everyone knows to be a hero, you have to be an orphan.
The stranger rocks up and finds that
causes chaos.
Yeah, a bit of paper with the star things, and then sets it on fire, and then causes everything to freak out. He obviously understood what they meant, but we still don't really like. It's very much is playing into this idea that this is Gandalf, and I think more and more people are agreeing on that because they know Amazon can do what they want. They could bring him in early.
The way the actor said "friend" right at the end, where he was like "friend," I don't know why it proper gave me Gandalf vibes.
Well, they're playing into what we know about Gandalf and his relationship with the hobbits, and it would make sense for Amazon to want to bring in a character like Gandalf. Even though it's earlier than in the books, they are condensing thousands of years into a show.
And also, hardcore fans are already angry. Why not try and capitalize? But honestly,
I don't think the way they're bringing him in is a bad way, and I'm totally fine with that. And then obviously as punishment, got put at the back of the pack, and we saw them start their migration, and Nori and her family are at the back struggling, and it's no fucking surprise they're struggling because out climbs the trailer the stranger, a big giant guy that they've unknowingly been pulling along. Like, why is this trailer heavier than normal? And then obviously he climbs out and he helps them, and maybe this is a reason why that they settle somewhere, is he helps them find somewhere to settle or something. I don't know.
Maybe. Like I said, a lot of Gandalf's relationship with the hobbits doesn't make sense based on what we know about the hobbits and how they keep to themselves. So the idea that Gandalf is almost a hobbit himself because when he came to Middle-earth he landed with the hobbits is a very easy story to sell, I think.
So that was kind of the episode, and that's where it ended. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot of... I feel like we've got all the characters, like all the main characters now. One thing that... Because I don't want to spoil future potential things for you, but Elendil, the ship captain, and his son are characters. The sister is made up for the show, which is fine. I think she plays a good part.
Oh, yeah, I think as that kind of intermediary role between a father and a son butting heads, she can add a lot to the story.
People will probably remember Elendil and his son's... what's his son's name? I forget. Something, it begins with an S, I think. But in the start of the First Lord of the Rings, when they're going over the fight against Sauron, Elendil is the one fighting Sauron in that big battle, who then dies, and then his son picks up the sword and cuts the finger off. And then his son is the one who doesn't chuck the ring in Mount Doom and leaves with it, and then gets corrupt and loses it in the river anyway. That's the same two people.
So they should both survive for the entirety of the show.
Yes, and they will end up in Middle-earth.
The one question I had, Halbrand, why he gets so angry so fast? Is he like being corrupted? Is he going to become Sauron?
So he apparently is some self-exiled king, is what we are learning.
Okay.
He's like self-exiled himself from the Southlands for some reason. It seems like he is the king of the Southlands, which then makes people think that potentially his family or something stood with Morgoth, and maybe he didn't want to be involved in that or whatnot. What reason for him self-exiling himself, we don't know. He quite clearly is going to play some important part into that, whether he gets corrupted, whether he becomes a friend of the elves.
Because he had a pretty dark rage to him there, where it seemed like it was almost possessed.
Are you on about when he fights? Yes,
yeah.
We didn't talk on that bit, but yeah, while Galadriel's off riding a horse down the beach, looking glorious, he's having drinks with the locals and then accidentally slightly says the wrong thing, being a bit too cocky. And then there's a very quick sleight of hand, which you actually, if you pay attention to the shot when he says he has to leave and he pats the guy on the back, you see him actually take the thing off the cloak, which you then see him flipping and whatnot. I think the reason they did that fight scene was to try and show us that, not necessarily that he has rage in him. I think it was a way of them going, this guy has, like, can fight and is trained in his...
He's capable.
Yeah, he is way more trained and capable than he is letting on to everybody else, which would make sense with him being an exiled king. He would know how to fight and how to use a sword and whatnot. So I think that's more what they're trying to do.
Okay.
Rather than it being like a rage thing, I think he's just trying to hide who he is, but it'll come out when he needs to defend himself.
Maybe. Okay.
But trying to think if there's... Obviously, a lot of people are like, Hobbits don't have a history. Why are they trying to make these into the Hobbits? I mean, that's the point. There was nothing written about the Hobbits in the Second Age, because according to the books, the Hobbits didn't really do anything of interest in the Second Age that required stories. They're in The Hobbit and the book concerning Hobbits and Lord of the Rings because a Hobbit goes on an adventure. Before that, they're not really doing it. So it's like
they keep to themselves and out of the way.
So by law standards, there's no history known of the Hobbit. So Amazon can do what they want. I'm fully enjoying it.
I mean, I'm always a fan of the Hobbit.
There was one theory that I'm not sure if I agree with, but I thought it was an interesting one, which was about the stranger and that shot we talked about last week of the meteor coming over, and it showed the four different shots, 5 different Galadriel. I think it was like 4.
Yeah.
And we said it was probably a way to them to tie everything together. But someone was like, well, when you take into consideration where all those different people were, they're not close to each other on the map. What if this is the 4 different wizards arriving at the same time, and we've only been introduced to one of them?
Maybe.
And it was like, which I think would be a bit much. I think Amazon was trying to just tie all the storylines together. But I thought it was a cool idea of, like, potentially there is...
It's a cool notion. I feel like we would have at least seen more than one of them, if that was the case, though.
Yeah, unless they're really trying to, like,
how many episodes is the series supposed to be?
I don't remember. A few. Rings of Power. How many episodes? Here we go. It is going to be 8 episodes for season 1. There is multiple seasons confirmed.
I'm calling cap on that being 4 wizards if there's only 8 episodes.
The only reason I potentially is like whether they want to do that, but they're not going to let on that that's the case, and in future seasons they're going to introduce other ones so they can be like, well, they all arrived at the same time. We just didn't tell you about them. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah. Overall, I've really enjoyed the show again. Looking forward to seeing Mordor progress and see what happens with that really turns those lands like evil. We're obviously going to have something interesting happen with Elendil, his son, and Galadriel. And then hopefully more dwarves next week.
Hopefully.
More dwarves. But yeah.
Right then. I have a bone to pick with the internet now.
Here we go. I have no idea what this is about, but I'm ready for it.
So, I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I don't get high and mighty about things that I believe in. I fucking do. I know I do. I live on my high horse at times. And I do my best to limit that because I understand there is always a risk that I end up being hypocritical or not thinking something through fully. This is one of these very few occasions where I am right. I will not be taking oh, you haven't looked at it like this. I am right. I will be able to give examples of why I'm right. And if you don't get it after I explain it now, you're never going to get it. For a lot of people, this is like me saying to myself, I have to try and do it properly once so that I can sleep easy knowing I've tried my best. So, at D23, we got a trailer for the new Little Mermaid.
Right, okay.
In which the actress was shown to be black.
Yep.
Which once again brought up this whole fucking race swapping of characters argument, which is fucking infuriating. I've been debating whether I was going to talk about it all week. I flipped back and forth, but I've not been able to avoid the news because the news refuses to die down. So we're going to do this. We're going to do it once. We're going to do it right. You can swap a character's race if the character's race is not relevant to the character.
Yes.
I.e., Harry Potter does not need to be white.
Nope.
James Bond does not need to be white.
Agreed.
Characters who do need to stay the same race. Steve Rogers, because he is the epitome of 1940s America. Steve Rogers should be white. That's fine. That's why when we wanted a black Captain America, we get Sam Wilson.
Yes.
And on the flip side, T'Chaka, the various Black Panthers, they should be black because it is an African nation that was never colonized. Therefore, there is no way for them to be white.
Yep.
It is that simple. Now, the reason you don't see black characters becoming white very often is because throughout history where white people have dominated industry and media, black characters are only ever made when it is relevant for them to be black. Therefore, it is a crucial part of their character. You don't get black characters by default. Every character who their race isn't important is defaulted to fucking white. That's why it doesn't happen the other way, because there isn't enough. It's that fucking simple. I understand the argument, oh, well, you can't race swap, you can't race swap. No, you can if it makes sense. The problem is, well, it's not even actually a problem. The reason that we only tend to see traditionally white characters becoming black is because the default when a character's race doesn't matter is make them white. It's never been, oh, this character's race doesn't matter, they can be black, they can be Asian, they can be whatever. That's never been the case, which is why white characters become black and not the other way around. Because throughout all of human history and media, which has been dominated by the white man due to colonization, white characters are the main. Black characters only exist, Asian characters only exist if it is culturally relevant. Mulan is set in China with a Chinese woman during the Chinese Empire. Therefore, it will never make any sense for it to not be an Asian woman playing that role. That's it. If you don't get it, you're never going to get it, and you need to shut your mouth because you don't know what you're talking about. It is that simple. It's about cultural relevance to the character.
Yeah. Straightforward.
I don't understand how people don't get it. There are some white characters who should remain white, like Steve Rogers, because that is culturally relevant to the time they're trying to depict. But the majority of characters that are white are just white by default.
And people that are complaining, oh, well, all these white characters are now being made black and we don't have the same, like they're taking away our representation or whatever. Bullshit. there's still, you can go watch the old Little Mermaid. She's still there, she still exists, not going anywhere. There's your representation.
I mean, forget that. They've just announced the Thunderbolts film, for fuck's sake, which is an all-white cast. Like, there's enough representation for white people.
Yeah. I think anyone that has a problem with the Little Mermaid thing that was announced, all you have to do, and I saw this on TikTok, and it was a compilation of, must have been like 20 different little black kids all freaking out about the fact that it was a black Disney princess. And that's why representation matters. So
representation does matter, has always mattered, and will always matter. Stop trying to take characters away from people.
Exactly.
And if anyone in the and I'm going to make this a short because I want more people to see how fucking infuriating this is. If anyone in the comments tries to blah, 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 I'm not even going to respond to you, I'm just going to delete your comment. There is no room for fucking bigotry on this channel. I don't care if we go from whatever fucking subs we're on now down to 3 subs. I'll fucking gladly see you all gone if it turns out that you disagree with me on this. Yes, I'm a hard-headed fuck at times. This is one of these situations where it's non-negotiable.
And that goes moving forward. Like, we're bringing this up because of the Little Mermaid thing, but we've said this before and we'll keep saying it. It's like any character that comes out, we will not stand for any...
Not here. Not, no way, no fucking how.
Racism or what against them. And if we think it's a case where, say it was Steve Rogers got cast as a black person, like, we would voice our concern that, like, they could have used a different Captain America character for that situation. And that, yes, Steve Rogers should stay white because of what that character is. But those cases never generally happen because they know when, like, that stuff is meant to happen and when it's not. So
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, internet being the internet, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I tried to do it this way, and I know I got irate. I tried to do it this way to actually explain it fully one time so that I know I can stand here and I go, I've explained why it's not a problem. If you still don't get it, you're choosing to be ignorant at this point.
Yep.
Anyway, we're going to leave it there. We're going to leave the bad vibes there. On to D23.
Yeah, D23, where we were like, oh, they're not going to announce that much.
They didn't. I think we did very poorly for our predictions.
For our predictions, yes. I think we got more things in areas we didn't expect.
Yes, we definitely got thrown off guard. But on the Friday, we started with the Disney/Marvel's Games Showcase.
Yes.
It was very underwhelming for me.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't trust Disney to make games at all, but I was hoping for a couple of things. The 2 main things I was hoping for was news on Spider-Man 2 and Fallen Order 2.
Yes.
We didn't get any of that.
Yeah.
We got a look at Midnight Suns gameplay, which is another one of these Marvel turn-based superhero games that I want to burn. We also got a look at some kind of like Pokemon Go looking fucking superhero game, which could be fun. I don't know. We'll see. But the star of the show for me was our Captain America Black Panther World War II game,
which is such a interesting.
So it's going to be T'Challa, who's obviously a lot of people's Black Panther, his granddad, I believe.
Okay.
So like timeline wise, it does make sense.
Well, yeah,
because obviously the Black Panther is the moniker, not just T'Challa.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping it is not a fucking turn-based style game. I hope it is a linear story game where you get to play as both characters.
I'm not holding out hope for it to be.
I know I shouldn't be as hopeful as I am, but I'm so desperate because conceptually, although I'm not a fan of the World War II era and I think it's overdone, this, if done right, could be so much fucking fun.
Yeah, it could be.
Imagine like a couch co-op game where you and your mate get to run around as Captain America and Black Panther punching Nazis in the fucking face. Come on.
I think it could be great. It's just like the track record they have for...
Yeah, it's not great.
No.
But I mean, it's Sundance who are developing it, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
It was Sundance.
Was this?
What else has Sundance made?
Was this the first time we got a Disney Marvel game showcase?
Yeah, it was the first ever one.
Which kind of is probably why it was a bit underwhelming, and maybe we gave it too much, too big of an expectation that the game studios will be on board with showing stuff there. Because let's be real, they don't know how that section of the show would get received and viewership wise. So they probably, it's not a surprise they didn't give us any like big announcements like Spider-Man 2 or Fallen Order 2.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I'm just looking for what other games Sundance have done.
You're fine. So hopefully, maybe next year.
I can't find a list. Yeah. They'll build on it every year.
Yeah.
I do want Disney to stop just trying to make a quick buck with. And don't get me wrong, I get mobile games as a huge market. I would give anything for Marvel and Disney to strike a deal with Sony and Insomniac to build out a Marvel gaming universe and go, yes, the Spider-Man games can be PlayStation exclusives for the first year and then come to PC, and all the other games go on all platforms straight away or whatever. Because that'd be a brilliant bit of business for Sony and Insomniac, getting access to all these characters and games. It would be great for us. We know the Spider-Man universe is going to have Wolverine, because obviously we know that's in development, but Avengers Tower is in the game. We know the Avengers exist. The Fantastic Four can go in. You can have a lot of fun with this universe, and the core gameplay mechanics are phenomenal.
Yeah. It's just whether they can come to that agreement.
That is the problem. And obviously it's a games developer, and AAA games do take a while. So that might make Sony go, well, we want to do a new Spider-Man game every 4 years. If we've got to get your games in there, the quality's going to have to dip, or Spider-Man games are going to be even further apart, and we don't want to do that.
Yeah, there's a lot of moving parts that probably plays against it.
I would like Marvel to use their IPs for their characters, their superhero characters, to get us games. Because now, like, laziest approach, you take the Spider-Man game and reskin it as Daredevil, like a mod, and that game basically is already perfect. You change his webs for his nunchucks or a grappling hook.
Yeah.
And you make it so the range isn't as far, and you're basically fine. You give him a sonar ability instead of like the Venom ability that Miles has. The games don't need to change that much from like Daredevil style characters and a Moon Knight style character.
Oh yeah, there's enough.
You don't even need to make a new map, for fuck's sake.
No.
They're all New York based.
Yeah, there's a lot you can do with that base
exactly. Game. Anyway, do you want to do Star Wars news or Marvel news first?
We'll keep on Marvel.
Okay. So Marvel had their expo. So I mean, I don't think we actually guessed any of this correctly. Oh no, I think I called the Secret Invasion trailer or trailers for stuff coming soon.
Yes.
I think that was it.
And I think we may have mentioned about maybe we'll see where Armor Wars gets placed.
Yeah, well, we got worried after Comic-Con that Armor Wars wasn't there. Then a couple of weeks later, the direct said, don't worry, Armor Wars is still alive. Yeah. And we're like, okay, so what's happening with it then? And we got the confirmation that Armor Wars is alive and coming. I didn't see a date anywhere, though, did you?
No, and I do wonder if them just doing that and adding that in was for people that may not have seen the director said it was alive. They're just making sure it was publicly said, like, Armor Wars is still here.
They gave it its updated logo, which they normally only do when it's, like, got a release date, which is quite strange to me. Maybe that's going to be one of these shows that randomly appears on a Thursday.
I'm guessing they still haven't maybe quite decided on, but they wanted to publicly be like, look, yes, it wasn't on those graphics, but we haven't, it's not gone, sort of thing.
Autofocus camera. Oh well. So we got a confirmation that Jimmy Woo, one of our favourite characters, is returning in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. If he dies, this podcast dies.
I still think, and I stand by it, we need to have a Jimmy Woo TV show.
I'm so here for it. I genuinely think the only thing in its way right now is how chock-a-block the schedule already is.
Oh yeah, there's just so much going on. But I would love they shut a Jimmy Woo little side show in there.
We got a full Secret Invasion trailer.
Yes.
Which looks so good. But the big takeaway, which is fucking hilarious. So last week, I did a character profile on Black Knight.
Yes.
And I said how he was a part of Excalibur,
Yes.
which included characters like Captain Britain and Union Jack.
Yep.
And then I said, I believe I read somewhere that apparently Olivia Colman is taking on the Union Jack role in a gender bend version of the character.
Yes, you did.
And then Olivia Colman's in the fucking Secret Invasion trailer. I'm not acting like this is brand new news. I might have just not been aware of this information as everyone else, but that's fucking hilarious to me.
And isn't she in a role of like MI5 or some sort of secret service?
She's playing an English person in it, and she's clearly like in the know about something.
Yeah.
So maybe these rumors that I saw were just people were glossing over it because no one really knew who Union Jack was, or maybe it was a throwaway comment that people didn't believe, or maybe everyone accepted 6 months ago that this was a fact and I missed it at that point, so therefore I missed all the conversation. I don't know, but I just found that really funny.
I like that the trailer obviously had a couple of things that were shown at Comic-Con that we read
like
the descriptions of the whole thing
like the scene where everyone stands up and transforms into the one guy.
Yeah, that, and when he meets up with, oh my god, it's gone out of my head. Rhodey. When he meets up with Rhodey in the restaurant and he says, "How well do you know your security?" That was a scene I think was shown at Comic-Con. So that plus some more, and it looks so good.
It doesn't seem like Maria Hill, assuming that the Maria Hill we saw in the trailer is actually Maria Hill.
Yes.
It doesn't seem like she knew that Nick was off-world.
So
she seemed pretty pissed at him.
I think she did.
But he didn't tell her straight away, and she kind of worked it out herself.
That, or she knew he went off-world, but I got the sense, basically it was the sense of like, she'd tried to contact him multiple times, and I wasn't sure whether she was saying that he'd either ignored her or he told her, no, I'm not coming, like, he was off-world and he kept saying, no, I'm not coming back for something like that, this, like, not important enough sort of thing. Because she was like, oh, now you show up. As if, like, she knew he was off-world and had asked for his help on, like, the different things we've seen happen in the films of shit going on. And he's probably kept going, either not responded to her or been like, no, I'm not available, like, I'm not coming back.
I just know that this show is going to fuck our minds every single week, and they're going to play up to the idea of scroll shape shifting constantly. And I don't say that in a way of it's going to get boring. I think they're going to do it really well, and we're going to sit here like this every week, like, I don't know what's happening.
I wonder. I'm fully expecting them to mix in fake Nick Fury.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we saw Talos in the trailer, who we know has been acting as Nick Fury.
Well, yeah. I think there's going to be scenes where, like, real Nick Fury has been going around meeting up with people and having one-on like private conversation about what the fuck's going on. And then there's going to be some, like, scene where he's meeting someone and we're like, oh, he's met up with so-and-so. And then it'll be like, a couple episodes later, Nick Fury meets up with the same guy again. He's like, we've already met, like, last week. And then he's like, no, we haven't.
It's interesting, though. I think it's kind of alluded to that within like the Skrull community, which obviously living secretly on Earth, that there's a bit of an internal fighting. Because when Talos met that other guy and then everyone else stood up and changed into him, it doesn't seem like Talos wants to take over the planet. It seems like he's pretty happy with the arrangement of we get to live here safely.
Yeah.
And these other guys are like, no, this planet's ours now. So that'll be interesting to see like where everyone lies.
Yes, because I'm presuming from when they first arrived and we saw in Miss Marvel, like, they helped Talos and that. He obviously, his little group then became friends with Nick Fury, which is why he's been covering for him essentially while he's been off-world.
Yeah.
There's obviously, it's whether how many he knows of other Skrulls that, like, he knows, oh, that one's been impersonating this person, but they're like not really been able to do anything about it, sort of thing.
I do also wonder if they're going to use this to retcon anything.
Yeah, potentially. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a couple like small things they use like retcon with this. I do like. There's gonna be a lot in this show where I think they're gonna make us think one thing for the first like half of the show, and then they're gonna completely flip it in the second half.
Oh yeah, they're gonna beat the shit out of our brains, and I'm so here for it.
So I'm gonna say this now. When it comes out, that first episode, I'm going to make the wildest claims about whatever we see in that first episode. Just in case I can be like, haha, I was right. I had the script.
That sounded like such a soundboard, haha. They're just like, haha.
I'm right. I got all of this correct.
We also got
go on.
Trailer for Werewolf by Night coming October 7th.
Yeah, I didn't really... It was such a, like, style change that threw me off as to what I didn't...
Okay, so Werewolf by Night, I believe, has been used with Moon Knight in the past. I don't think Moon Knight's showing up in this.
Okay.
But when Moon Knight came out in that initial trailer, and in the trailer we saw him beating shit out of something, everyone assumed that was going to be the Werewolf by Night because it had been announced that the Werewolf by Night was being worked on. So then when that didn't happen, everyone was like, wait, so what's the Werewolf by Night going to be now? And clearly it's going to be some special event for Halloween that's coming out like 3 weeks before Halloween.
Yeah, it's like some little one-off.
It's coming out for spooky season. I don't know if it's going to matter for anything. I don't know if it's going to be any good. I don't know if it's going to be in black and white for the entire thing like the trailer was. I'm going to watch it. It might be fun. It might not be. It might be like the group shorts where we're just like, oh, that was cool. Okay. But it might end up being something that's quite important. It might be something that they use to set up Midnight Suns or kind of tease once Phase 6 is over in 2025. We're going to break out into, we're going to have street level stuff and mystical stuff and global threat stuff so that whatever your preferred superhero genre is, you can go over there.
I wonder if it'll just like be used to introduce a couple of characters into the world that don't really have place to be introduced anywhere else. Yeah. And they're just like, they exist. They're here.
I thought it was a cool looking trailer. Looks like it could be quite gory, which could be fun.
It's funny, like, when they before they showed like anything or what it was and you just said Werewolf by Night, I was like, is this some code wording Wolverine? But it obviously isn't. But I thought it looked interesting. And artistically, like, it's kind of nice seeing something artistically done different.
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. I think it's part of their whole, we're trying to give our directors and our writers a bit more creative freedom. Yep. And I think this project exemplifies that mindset at the minute.
Yes.
Big Fantastic Four news. Matt Shakman's the director.
Not the news we were hoping for.
Are we literally going to turn up to this film opening night and find out the cast as the film happens?
No. Do you know what I think it is?
Like, bro.
Do you know, I genuinely think Marvel's like, this is going to get leaked when it starts filming. Let's just let it, like, let's just accept the fact this is going to get leaked, and that's free publicity for us.
My only other thought might be, do some of the characters have cameos, and they want that to be how people find out who the characters are? I don't agree with that.
What's the next film?
Is that...
Oh, Black Panther.
We've got Black Panther, which has Namor, and Namor has a thing for Sue Storm, and Sue Storm has a thing for Namor.
And Fantastic Four are very tech savvy and
let's also remember, She-Hulk literally replaced the Thing at one point.
Yeah, so maybe you're right. Maybe
and Human Torch is Spider-Man's best friend.
Yeah, maybe they're going to do it by cameo. If not, then I
don't
think...
agree with that, but it's possible.
I mean, they've done it before in the past.
I just disagree with it with the Fantastic Four because I think they're doing an origin story film, so it feels weird for us to know the characters before their film.
That's what's presuming they're doing an origin story film.
If they're not doing an origin story, they done fucked up somewhere. Because how have these 4 people with superpowers been around this long?
Depends.
But there's issues, and don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's not actually issues, but in my internal logic, all I'm seeing is problems, and I don't like it.
If they don't cameo it, I actually think they will just let it leak on its own because they know that's free publicity and it'll get everyone talking about the film again.
I would love, though, for them to somehow keep it a secret. Do no real press for the film other than Fantastic Four is coming out on this date, and we turn up not knowing who the Fantastic Four are. Because while this isn't happening, Fantastic Four are huge.
Mm-hmm.
They are just as big as... They are on the level of Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four. It is them 4. They are the S tier of superheroes.
I just don't see any way this doesn't get leaked.
But imagine, though. I'm not saying it won't get leaked. I'm just saying imagine.
Well, yeah, it'd be fucking wild, but...
Imagine it comes out, like, I'm going to a Thursday night midnight showing. We're finishing episode whatever. We'll be on, like, 90 or 100 by then, I think. More. Jesus, that's terrifying. Anyway, I'm just like, okay, yeah, cool. I'm getting in my Mercedes-Benz because I'm rich now. And I'm going to go see Fantastic Four. I can't wait to see who the actors are.
Yeah, no.
Imagine, though, it'd be nuts.
It would be, but within an hour, like the first 5 minutes of the film being aired at the premiere, it'll be all over the internet.
Oh, yeah. If you're not getting there for a midnight showing, you do need to go on full media blackout until you get to see the film.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd be at the premiere by then, obviously.
We hope.
So it wouldn't be too big of an issue. Maybe we'll be the ones who get to leak the story of who it is.
I want to be on set and leak the photos.
Just me taking a selfie with John Krasinski in his Mr. Fantastic uniform.
But this is the thing, it's like, if it's not announced, I fully think it gets leaked with literally on-set photos.
It's going to happen.
Because look,
if they manage to get to do their own announcement at this point, I'll be so impressed.
Yeah. I do think there's going to be some... I actually think cameo is the most realistic thing. Unfortunately. But it's like, they're going to have to answer a fucking lot of questions with a quick cameo.
I think they can only get away with cameoing maybe one of them.
Yeah.
And then everyone just goes, okay, we have 3 fan casts. This one was in that fan cast, so this is our Fantastic Four.
Which one is most likely to get in trouble with the law and need a lawyer?
Johnny.
Can you imagine if the Donny Blaze was a whole, like, it was a tease to then get everyone hyped and everyone's like, they got us, but then it's a double twist and he does actually rock up later in the season.
Hooray.
Yes.
Donny Blaze was a play on Johnny Blaze, who's Ghost Rider.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
No, but Johnny Storm is the most likely to get in trouble with the law, who's the Human Torch.
Shut up. My brain...
I really wish I could have seen your face then as your brain put that together.
And this is why I'm the casual fan. Because my brain was just like 2 fire people, both with Johnny
named Fire, same person.
Yeah.
All
right, what if it's a complete tease and it's like everyone thought they would get Ghost Rider, but then it's no, we're going to get Johnny Blaze.
Yeah,
Johnny Storm.
That's sick, because instead of flame on, he could say blaze on.
Oh, my fucking brain.
We got an announcement of the Thunderbolts roster.
Yeah. No one.
My God, is it underwhelming?
I don't feel like this was really the people we expected. We knew US Agent.
Yeah.
And we knew Yelena.
I thought US Agent was a good chance. I was confident on Yelena. I was hoping for Taskmaster. And then I thought we were going to get, like, Abomination plus 2 others.
Yeah, like, from what we've seen of people being recruited, like...
Okay, let's actually break down this group.
Yeah.
Ghost is the only one that makes sense to me.
Yeah, because obviously...
Red Guardian and US Agent are the same character. They are Captain America wannabes who did the wrong thing at the wrong time because they're not perfect like Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Then you have Yelena and Bucky, who are brainwashed into doing evil people's bidding.
Yeah.
But Bucky's already kind of internally solved that, so I don't get his motivation.
Yeah.
Taskmaster was I'm so sad how badly used Taskmaster was in Black Widow. Hopefully this can be a redemption for Taskmaster.
Yeah.
Ghost makes sense. Legitimate villain despite having good motivations in not wanting to die.
Yes.
Good opportunity for redemption.
Yeah.
I would have been much happier with Ghost, Taskmaster, US Agent or Red Guardian. Because they do the same job, you only need one of them.
I think...
Go US Agent.
Yeah, just because he'd been set up already.
Yeah, US Agent, Ghost, Taskmaster, Abomination. I'm okay with Yelena if Bucky's not there. And then Zemo.
Yeah. When I saw that list, I was just like, Red Guardian, like what? Like, I get that he's...
No,
but I get like what he can bring, but then I was like, we have US Agent who's already been set up to kind of be heading this group. Well, that's how they were selling it to him. And then it's like, Yelena, I can get, like, she clearly was already doing jobs for them. But then it's like Bucky. I'm like, why Bucky? Like, I don't get like, we saw the last we've seen of Bucky is him coming to terms with things, and he's like kind of past getting redemption against all his list and whatnot. It's like, why would he then go and like fight for some weird US government thing?
I'm sad because this cast of characters, this roster of characters, not the cast, all of the actors are brilliant as their characters. This roster of characters, it makes no sense to me. But the fact that they've announced it means it's not going to change. All we can hope is there's going to be a couple of surprise additions we're not expecting to balance this roster. But even then, you can maybe make it work with like US Agent and Red Guardian competing, and Yelena and Bucky like both trying to be the leader. But I just don't see it working. You've essentially tried to make 4 characters into 6 characters. Give us Red Guardian or US Agent and Yelena or Bucky. Bucky doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you really want to have a character of that style, give us one of them two, and then give us Abomination and someone we haven't met yet, someone new, a new character for us to get our teeth into.
Because it's also now, like, we were predicting that one of the reasons Abomination wants out is like some government's paying him, they leaked it, and they're trying to force him into the Thunderbolts. That kind of just takes away that entire theory.
Which, I mean, when the Abomination got confirmed as being back in Shang-Chi and then in She-Hulk, everyone was like, oh, well, we know a Thunderbolts film is on the way. This makes complete sense. But it's just been blown out of the fucking water. I don't get it. Unless
the whole Thunderbolts thing is going to be trying to get hit. Like,
Bucky wouldn't do that, though. Bucky wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, let's go on a recruitment mission. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how they're going to make this work. I want them to, but I've got a horrible feeling I'm not going to like that film now.
Yeah, they need to.
It's giving Suicide Squad by Aker vibes, not Suicide Squad by James Gunn vibes.
Like I don't even know if like there's anything with Secret Agent they can kind of flip. Like, I don't know, Bucky's not who we actually think he has been this whole time or something like that. Like,
I don't know.
Even that is going to be a stretch to get anything to work.
I saw someone say that this roster would make more sense if they'd called the film Secret Avengers instead of Thunderbolts.
Yeah.
So I think the title of Thunderbolts is more popular than Secret Avengers. So they wanted to use that, but then it's given people the completely wrong idea. Thunderbolts is supposed to be villains who are reformed or reforming or pretending to be reformed kind of vibe. And instead we've got Red Guardian, who's just Russian Captain America, doesn't make him evil.
No.
We've got US Agent, who was trying to be the new Captain America, but went a bit crazy. Again, he's not necessarily evil, he's just not great. Bucky, who's fully redeemed himself.
Yeah.
Yelena, who might feel like she has some wrongs to right, but she wouldn't do it this way anyway. Taskmaster and Ghost are the only people that make sense. And even then, Taskmaster doesn't make a lot of sense in the MCU because she was brainwashed.
Yeah. This is
my only hope for this film is that they fix Taskmaster. Yeah. If they do that, the film gets a pass.
See, this is the thing, like, it doesn't match with the Thunderbolts name. I get these people being grouped because they're obviously all being hired by our creepy agent woman friend. I forget her name.
Yeah, Valentina.
It's obviously who she's going around and recruiting. So it's like, okay, yeah, that's why Yelena's there. That's why US agent's there. Like, Bucky is an odd one, but obviously for some reason she gives him jobs or something, and that's why he's ended up on Taskmaster. I can understand why she would get picked up because it's like...
You've also got to remember, this is going to be like, what, 8 years since we last saw Taskmaster?
She's probably been doing fucking shady jobs just to get by.
Exactly. Which is why I'm hopeful we might see a better version of Taskmaster.
Yeah. Red Guardian's a bit of a weird one.
To develop, but yeah, it makes no sense. I don't get it.
Yeah, Red Guardian and Bucky are just like, you could just take them out and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
The rest, I could get behind why they are in the group and being put together.
I could make it work. Yelena and US Agent cause more issue for me because the other two are there as well.
Yeah.
If you get rid of Bucky and Red Guardian and give us Abomination and, like I said, a brand new character that we're going to get introduced to through the film, I think I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
Anyway. We got confirmation, although I forgot to write it down, that Vincent D'Onofrio is going to be in Echo.
Yes, he is. With an eye patch.
With an eye patch. I'm pretty sure I said way back when. But, and that led straight into Vincent D'Onofrio asking Kevin Feige about, what about my show? And then Charlie Cox struts out and goes, what do you mean your show? And the crowd goes wild, and we got to see the Daredevil Born Again logo.
Yeah.
Which looks fucking sick.
The double D.
It got confirmed in an interview by Charlie after the panel that this is not a continuation of the Netflix series. So it's not like season 4 of that character.
Yeah, see, I missed that.
But also, and this is what pissed a lot of people off, but I eat these people's tears because they don't get it. He said, we've got 18 episodes. We can do levity as well as the serious side of Daredevil. It's not going to be all one way or all the other way. We've got to do both. It's 18 episodes. So people... And here's the thing. People have overreacted. They're like, oh, we're going to get corny Marvel jokes and Daredevil's like Batman. He's dark and evil. He's like, no, he is fucking not.
Yeah, it's just
Matt Murdock turned up to a Christmas party wearing a jumper that said, I'm not Daredevil. That's fucking hilarious. Matt Murdock is a funny guy. Let him be funny.
I think, like you said, the people are presuming it's going to be Marvel's cornier stuff or like more like for humor, sort of like that cheesy.
Yeah,
and not realizing, like, just because we haven't seen necessarily Marvel do other forms of humor doesn't mean that like it's automatically going to be like cheesy humor. Like,
exactly,
a show can still be funny and dark at the same time.
And let's not act like Daredevil on Netflix didn't have legitimate fucking jokes in it.
Yeah,
like, come on.
Also, we've already seen like the sort of humor that he'll have in Spider-Man when he catches the fucking brick and he just goes, "I'm a really good lawyer."
Yeah.
Like, it's just.
And that is exactly something Matt Murdock would say.
Yeah, it's just
before any Netflix stands are like, Matt Murdock would never do that. Yes, he would. Read the source material. I'm not one of these guys who are going to be like, no, you should read. No, in this situation, this is legitimately one of these times where you do not understand the character as well as you think you do.
Yeah. So, with him confirming that it's not season 4, is this like alternate timeline then?
I am going to go into it with the approach, unless we get told otherwise, that because of the multiverse, some of the stuff that happened in Netflix has happened on this earth, but not all of it. So I think you can watch it as a kind of half law in the sense of some of this will have happened, but not all of it.
Got you. Do you know what I
That is
think they'll
my
do?
approach to it.
They'll do it as pretty much all of it happened except the stuff with Iron Fist and Jessica Jones and all that, because they don't want that stuff to cause an issue unless they decide to bring it in.
Do you know what I think the only change is going to be? A new Iron Fist actor.
Just get rid of the Defenders and like that. That shit
They'll
happened.
literally just recast Iron Fist.
Oh. Yeah, because I mean,
that would be the only change I'd go
great.
for. Yeah, like I forget their names, but they were both brilliant. It was just the Iron Fist actor who didn't learn how to do any kind of physical combat, and therefore the show was shit.
Yeah, and I also don't feel Iron Fist was necessarily the best written out of all those Netflix ones.
I would also like for Danny Rand to be made Asian, because there is no reason for him to be white. I don't care that Danny Rand's quite a white name. Fuck it, make him an Asian kid who was adopted by rich white people. I don't care.
Well, no, there's plenty of Asian people that have, like, they're called Danny.
No, but like Danny Rand is a very like Western name.
Well, yeah, but a very common thing for Asians to do when they come to like US and stuff is they pick up very British, American, or English names because they think that's the best way to like
assimilate.
Yeah. But interesting that might screw up my whole blip theory, but it could still be.
No, it definitely could still happen that way. I think until we get told otherwise, or until the show gives us a reason to think otherwise, view the Daredevil Netflix stuff as you can essentially treat it as lore, but if stuff doesn't 100% line up, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's my approach to it. I am hoping we get to keep the actors and actresses who play Karen and Foggy.
Yes, I think they were great.
Because they were very good, and I would be very sad to see them get recast.
I think they will, because I think Matt Cox and that, like, they'll have their little family that they want to bring back.
The only danger is they might be scared if they bring too many actors in. No matter what they say, people are always going to view Netflix as lore, and then any plot holes, they're going to be like, "That's a plot hole," and they're like, "No, it's not lore." But it doesn't matter.
I don't think Marvel would care about that stuff.
No, as long as they've got podcasters like us going, it's 50%. 50% of what you're seeing did happen. You just don't know which 50%.
Yes.
Then we moved on to Captain America 4, which got me a wreck. It didn't. But like, we got lots of very fun information.
We did.
Now, we were not doing the podcast when I think I did say it to you, but I'm not going to quote myself there. I know I said it to Jenna when we were watching it. In Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we meet a soldier called Joaquin Torres in like episode 1. I think we see him in episode 2.
Shows up a bit later on as well.
Yeah. And he, in the comics, takes over the role of Falcon when Sam becomes Captain America.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we said that how heavily we were talking about MCU stuff at that time, but I know I picked up on that, and I was like, oh, that's a cool little thing to have set up.
I think we did mention it, because I think even I said it feels like he's going to pick up the Falcon stuff because he was like interested in the tech and fixing it. So it's like, I think we both kind of were like, we wouldn't be surprised if he now picks up the Falcon mantle.
So it's been confirmed that him, Isaiah Bradley, who was obviously in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, as well as Captain America during the Vietnam War, who then got thrown in prison.
Yeah.
And the lead, who was obviously our character profile earlier, all going to be in Captain America 4.
Yes.
With the leader obviously being the big bad.
It must be part of the New World Order.
Yes. So, what I said or alluded to earlier about it being his debut in the MCU.
Yes.
In the Incredible Hulk film,
okay,
I'm asking you guys to remember here, he was talking to a man called Mr. Blue.
Right.
Yeah, who we then saw before the final battle, and then Mr. Blue like got shocked and fell to the ground. Do you remember?
Vaguely.
That is Samuel Stern, aka the leader. Right. He was teased all the way back in Incredible Hulk.
That's why people are saying he's returning.
Yes. So we never saw him as the leader, so it's going to be the leader's debut. But we have seen Samuel Stern before. I believe it is the same actor. And if you actually go back and watch it, not that I'm advocating anyone do that, just find the clip. We do actually see his head start to like mutate and stuff.
Right, okay.
And it looks like like it's starting to get bigger and expand already. And at the time, even me at the time, who knew very little, I just like, oh, he's dead and his head's all weird. Cool. That was them teasing the leader all the way back then. And it's finally being paid off, which is fucking awesome.
Do you know what I think? That's one of those things where, like, they teased it back then, probably with, like, oh, if we do a second plan. Well, probably with the plan, like, a rough plan of, like, oh, well, when we do a second Hulk film, he can be potentially the villain for that. Then it's like the whole plan for MCU completely changed when Iron Man came along, and it was just like, he got shelved. But there was always, like, that note of, like, was teased in Hulk, and they're like, we'll find a way for that to pay off eventually.
We've got to remember, New World Order's like 2024, early 2024.
There'll be kids that go to that film that will have never seen Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, like Incredible Hulk was 2008.
Oh, why are you making me feel old?
So there's going to be 16-year-olds who are born after this character was initially introduced.
Pain. Now I just feel old.
How nuts is that?
Oh yeah, there'll be some that won't take the time to go back and watch all the Marvel films. So they probably will. Or if people do go back, most likely we'll just skip the Incredible Hulk film because everyone tells them, hey, it's not that great.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be like, where's this guy come from?
But I'm so excited. I think for the New World Order, that is a brilliant villain to choose as like the mastermind.
Yeah. And the fact that they're bringing Yaquin as Falcon, and I think that's going to be fun to have, especially if it seems like Bucky's whether Bucky's still hanging out with him or if he's now busy off doing this other stuff, because we've seen he's joining Thunderbolts. So maybe it's Cap and Falcon, the two new versions, and they're doing shit together.
I just love how much people are going to hate that they have a black Captain America and a Mexican Falcon. It's going to be great. America is being defended by minorities. Deal with it.
Always has been.
For real. Holy shit, that's only just done with the Marvel stuff. Okay, on to the Star Wars news. Now, we did not have a clue what was going to come from Star Wars because they announced so much a long time ago, and we're getting to the point now where we're like, okay, so are we just going to get a bunch of trailers for this stuff? Is there going to be anything new announced? What?
So we went into this, and I think the main prediction I made was like, oh, we might get an Ahsoka trailer because we haven't heard anything. We got some Ahsoka teasers, which I think I've just remembered now. But it was, but yeah, there was
first look at Sabine and stuff, wasn't it?
First look at Sabine and a confirmation of the actor who's going to play, what's the lad's name? I forget now. The young lad Jedi, yeah. I forget his name. But yeah, they confirmed actors and we got a first look. But they kicked it off with Bad Batch Season 2. Loved Season 1 of Bad Batch.
I'm going to be honest. I watched the first couple of episodes, got busy, and then forgot to finish it. And because of brain go brr, I never went back and watched it. But it's all there now, so I can just binge it like the week before it comes out. So it's fine.
Definitely worth a watch. It's a fun, like, a fun new angle of Order 66 and then the fallout of it from the fact of stormtroopers that managed didn't turn and what they went through to like all the shit going on. Super good. Looking forward to a season 2 of that. It's going to be great. Then they also announced Tales of the Jedi.
I'm so fucking excited for this fucking show. So,
sticking with animated.
And it is in the Clone Wars style as well, which is my favourite animated style.
It's in the Clone Wars style, and it is all tied into the Clone Wars animated series. We're getting 6 episodes. 3 of them will be on the origin.
Short episodes.
Yeah. 3 are on the origin of Ahsoka, and 3 are on the origin of
all of Count Dooku.
Count Dooku, yes.
I don't know if I've actually said it on this. Count Dooku is one of my favourite characters. He's so fucking cool, and I have been desperate for so long to see like him as a Jedi and like how he like becomes evil, and I'm so fucking excited. This is pure like nerd joy, not even me overanalyzing it. I have wanted this for so long. I am so fucking ready.
What I love is it's filling in more of the gap of where Ahsoka was, and like because she was never in the films. It's like it's filling in that gap now of like everyone loves Ahsoka, and they want more and more like lore behind her and how she fits in, because the films gave us nothing, and all we know is the Clone Wars and soon to be her show. So getting to see her origin and some like her early days of training is going to be super cool to see. Obviously, the fall of Count Dooku, like that's going to be super interesting to see him.
It's going
like
to be so fucking cool.
Him turn.
It looks like we're also going to get a fight between him and Yoda when Yoda had hair, which is going to be lit.
Oh no, that's not Yoda with hair. That's the female.
Oh, that's Yodel.
Something like that.
I've got a name wrong.
Yeah, I know. I think you're close. But yes, it's our first ever like proper look at her.
Oh, I thought that because obviously he was Yoda's apprentice. I thought that was him turning to the dark side and Yoda trying to stop him.
I think it's confirmed that that's the.
Oh, okay, that's cool then. That's cool. That's really cool.
But yeah, so 2 animated things, which I'm all for, like more of the animated stuff, and
it's such an easy watch and has such interesting stories.
And it's just like it's a really good way of visually showing the Star Wars universe and the Force and stuff. Like there's a lot more you can play with than you can get away with in live action.
Yeah, exactly. Then we got confirmation that a live action Star Wars show called Skeleton Crew,
yes,
which will be starring Jude Law, is going to be directed by the MCU Spider-Man director John Watts.
Yes, which is great. Like makes sense why he's going to get.
I'm a big fan of the MCU Spider-Man films. I'm excited for this.
Yeah. Obviously Disney
Jude Law's a brilliant actor.
Do a great job. I don't know if we know much about Skeleton Crew. I'm pretty sure it's like outer rim's not the right term, but like it's more outer rim or like street level of like what the fuck's going on sort of thing.
I mean, this is what I think I've said it on the podcast before. I'm so desperate for Star Wars shows that aren't set around Jedis and more about like the genuine comings and goings. Yeah. This show seems like it could be exactly that, and I want it.
So I think that's going to be great and builds into this. And I'm pretty sure they've said it's set in the timeline of Mandalorian and Ahsoka. So that timeline of like pretty big time jump where we don't know much. It fills in the gap of what's going on.
And that leads us into Mandalorian Season 3.
Yeah. This is where I would have expected them to show Ahsoka. But they're like, nah, fuck that. We're going to give you more Mandalorian.
The big thing I noticed from Mandalorian Season 3.
Yes.
The logo was really bright compared to what a trailer that seemed very depressing.
Yeah, it did. It was very like...
It was like proper like, it gave like full Ragnarok vibes on the logo. And then it was just like depression and sadness and death and plague.
Yeah, because this next season's going to be super interesting for him. Because everyone... Well, at the end of season 2, everyone was like, okay, he's taking Grogu and like they're going to go to Mandalore.
Has the internet just died?
Oh, no, I'm here.
Tech issues?
You're here. Can you not hear me?
Not tech issues.
Connor's panicking about tech issues, but we're still recording and I can hear him, so I don't know what's happened.
Hello?
Hello? I'm still here.
I'm back. You disappeared on me.
Oh, well, you never left for me, so we just all heard you going, tech issues? Internet?
Yeah, that's so weird. I couldn't hear you talking for a minute there.
Well, we're leaving that in. So yeah,
I think we might see Darth Maul. I don't know if he's alive, but I think we might see him.
I'm trying to remember timeline-wise. He might not...
It's after the fall of the Empire. Is Maul still around after the Empire's fallen?
He won't be alive.
Oh, that's so sad.
Have you seen Rogue One? the animated one. Rebels.
Animated
Rebels,
Rogue One?
not Rogue One.
No,
Rebels.
I haven't watched Rebels.
You need to watch Rebels.
Okay.
Because there's a time gap there, which I would say you need to watch Rebels definitely before Ahsoka comes out to understand the characters in Ahsoka. But yeah, I don't think we won't get.
That's sad. I want more live action Maul. Give me a Maul TV show.
Does.
Fuck it. I mean, he got teased at the end of the Solo film, but then Solo got like bombed, so they never followed through.
Fortunately. So yeah, we knew at the end of season 2 that they were going to be going to Mandalore. Like that was the prediction, and we know from Clone Wars what happened to Mandalore. Like that shit fucking blew up, and we got our first look again at the state of Mandalore, and that place,
mate, it's fucked.
Apocalyptic. Like it was destroyed. So it's going to be interesting to see what he finds there.
Before this, have we ever seen Mandalore in live action?
No.
We haven't, have we?
No. Mandalorian has explored the most of like the whole Mandalorian. Like we haven't had any of that in live action other than Boba Fett in his armor. Like all that we've experienced of Mandalore has been animated series.
Wars. Yeah, holy shit. This is so exciting. I can't wait.
And obviously there's going to be the whole, we know that the Mandalorian, his clan that he was part of was more of a cult. So he's going to have that whole battle between, and I think we're going to see a lot of these Mandalorian clans in this season. I think we're going to finally get to experience a bunch of the different named clans and their own like armor sets, and they're going to appear out of the woodwork. And he's going to learn more about actually what it is to be a Mandalorian, and him trying to figure out what he's doing now. He's meant to be leader.
Because he's got the Darksaber, which makes him the leader, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see how this goes. Very, very exciting.
There looks like there's going to be some great like father-son moments with Grogu, especially in the ship now that they're flying around. Like there's going to be those funny, cute moments, and I'm excited for that.
You've also got to remember a lot of these Mandalorian clans are going to want to kill Grogu because they hate the Jedi and every force-sensitive being.
Well, kill them, or they're going to be like, we can fucking make money off this sort of thing. Like, yeah, he's definitely going to be a lot of him protecting Grogu. I think we're going to see Grogu unlock a bit more of his force powers. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another cameo of like Ahsoka or something, like they cross paths again. But yeah, super looking forward. Was not expecting to get a trailer, and I'm so very excited for that.
And then this brings us on to Andor final thoughts.
Yes.
Which, we're going to be honest, with how busy life's been, we kind of dropped the ball when we realised yesterday that Andor starts next week.
Yeah.
With a 3-episode premiere.
Yes. And we got a new we got like our final trailer as well.
So there's not going to be a character profile next week because we're going to have 5 episodes of TV to get through.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot to talk about.
There's going to be so much. I'm excited for Andor. It's no secret that Rogue One is my favourite Star Wars film.
Yes.
Of the people who worked, obviously the characters are from Rogue One, but a lot of the people who made Rogue One have worked on this show. Yeah. So I'm expecting a same level of quality and enjoyment.
Yes. The trailer, the final trailer, there's a few more clips that we just haven't seen, but very much looks like it's going to set up a lot of those characters from Rogue One, and like the start of the rebellion and
the very early days.
Yeah, like the early days.
It looks like there's a fair bit of time hopping as well.
I think there's a bit of time hopping, and we're actually going to see, it seems like we're going to see quite a bit of the Senate and those Senate leaders that then are like, were more Jedi loyal, having to deal with the fact that this isn't, like, this is not what it actually seems, and knowing like, oh shit, we don't want to stand for this sort of thing.
Well, here's the thing. One of the things I always loved about the Clone Wars was like, they kind of discussed the politics of the Star Wars universe, and that's starting to leak into the live action stuff, and I'm so here for it because it's so interesting.
Oh yeah, like I think we're going to get a lot of that in this show. because there's obviously the leaders that step away and start the rebel. Like, there's going to be a lot of the politics side of things, and people trying to navigate that and seeing the like raw start of it and stuff. We've already seen a picture of what is probably going to be the fan favorite droid,
Yeah.
not drone, droid.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said drone. Of this season, it's like some little red one. I think people already know it's like code tag, but
I love all the droids so much. Like, I don't know how they do it. They always give them such good personalities.
I know, right? And I'm so ready to watch this droid go up to all sorts of shenanigans.
Yeah. All of the mischief and shenanigans, please.
Yes. So I'm super looking forward to this. 3 episode of the Rip is going to be.
Do we know how long the episodes are supposed to be?
I don't know. I imagine they're going to be similar to like Mandalorian length, right?
We're going to have to both take notes so that we don't get our episodes crossed over here.
So the around 35 to 40 minutes each, so it'll be like 2 hours of off the Rip.
Brother. I'm excited for the show, don't get me wrong, but fuck me, that's a lot. Because this coming out next Wednesday.
Yes.
So I've got to watch all of that Wednesday night so that I can watch She-Hulk on the Thursday before getting onto the podcast.
And we've got to retain our thoughts on this stuff after watching Lord of the Rings on the Friday.
I'm going to be sat at my desk. I'm going to have the show on here. And I'm going to have my notepad open here so that I can write down what's happening. Because otherwise I'm not going to remember any of it. And I have a great memory for this shit.
I don't, so I'm really going to have to make notes on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. We're going to need to have like a very clear set of notes for the beginning and end of each episode of Andor so that we don't jump ahead.
Yes. Where the cut-off points are. But super excited for Andor. Excited for the next Star Wars show. It's been a little while since we've had one.
Content season, baby.
Yes.
Hurry up and get us to 1,000 subs so that we're ready for that Christmas CPM.
Oh god, yeah.
That'd be nuts, imagine. Imagine though. Imagine.
But I think that was all we got on Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of the other stuff when we're doing our final thoughts, we have a lot more to go on. Andor's very much like it could be anything you want it to be. So there's not as much to say about it.
It's like, we know what it leads up
excited.
to.
Yeah.
But we just have no idea what goes on to lead up to that. So
I'm looking forward to another moment like at the end of Rogue One where we're like, shit, we never met the person who sent Leia the plans, which means they all have to die here.
Yep.
And I know Andor is going to find a way of it, once again, someone who helps him throughout the show. We're going to get towards the end and we're going to be like, shit, this guy wasn't in Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to have to die.
Or there's going to be a lot of, we get to the end of it and we're like, oh, that's so-and-so from Rogue One. We know they die later.
Yeah. Very excited. I cannot wait.
It's going to be good.
So much content. I've still got comics to catch up on, for fuck's sake, and video games to play, and I don't know. Does anyone want to edit this podcast for free? We will send you hugs and love, and you get to see it for anyone else.
Yeah, this is true. You have to listen to us for 2 hours each week. More.
More. So much more. What I will say is, and I know we're getting off tangent, but fuck it, the podcast's already disgustingly long. This podcast has helped me get more comfortable with my own voice.
Oh, yeah. I definitely, back when I first started streaming, that it took me a while, but like you just get used to it.
Yeah, I continually felt sick editing in the begin days because I just hate the sound of my own voice. I can get through it now. Don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting there like, oh yeah, I sound great, but like I can edit it without going. Yeah. Anyway, on to the superhero showdown.
Yes.
We are in week 3 of the Marvel's hero side of the bracket. As it's been all the time, Bloodlusted out for the dub. The lower seeded opponent gets an advantage to try and make it more balanced. So far, the advantage has not been enough for our lower seeders to overcome, but we've had the biggest disadvantages to start with. We've had 1 versus 8 and 2 versus 7. We're getting a bit closer now.
Yes.
It's 3 versus 6. 3 being Gamora, and 6 being Spider-Man Miles Morales. We decided ahead of time, because we are getting more efficient, that Miles's advantage is going to be that Gamora has no knowledge of his powers and abilities or skill. Which means as an assassin who uses her knowledge to win fights, she's not going to have any of that knowledge going into the fight. She has to gather it during the fight.
Yep. Which I think is fair.
What's your initial thoughts, sorry?
I think because Gamora doesn't know his abilities, there's a lot of opportunities for Miles to get like strong off the rip ahead sort of thing. Especially because he can do his little invisibility camouflage thing. It's definitely going to give him a strong advantage when Gamora has no fucking clue where the fuck he's gone or what's going on. I'm trying to think whether he can snowball quick enough off faster than she can figure out what he does, sort of thing. And whether
I get that.
He can get the best of her before she figures out how to get the best of him and out-staminas him or anything. Like,
so, as we know from Peter Parker, when Otto took over his body, Spider-Men have to hold their punches back a fuck ton.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, jaws come flying off people's faces.
True. And he'll be bloodlusted, which means he won't be pulling his punches.
There we go. Hori has grown so much as a hypothetical fight guy because he saw where I was going so quickly there.
Yeah.
You take that into consideration as well as her lack of knowledge around his venom and invisibility.
Yeah.
I think, like, if we go like fighting game terms, I legit think he stun locks her and beats shit out of her. I do think it's close because she's very skilled and she'll do a very good job of avoiding punches if she manages to avoid getting stun locked. But I think the raw power of a Spider-Man is so scary that when you add in the bloodlusted and the lack of knowing what you're in for,
yeah,
I genuinely think you take away the bloodlusted, Miles doesn't win.
Yes.
Because Gamora's a trained assassin. He's someone who's been taught by Peter to pull their punches because we're not trying to kill anyone here. We're just trying to stop them.
Yeah, I think with the fact that like he won't be pulling his punches, like I think then he will snowball, and I think he'll get like essentially gets one go at like pulling off the invisibility trick, pulling off like the stun and venom, and like before Gamora's like, oh, that's what that is. I know how to avoid that next time. But like him doing that stuff once and not pulling his punches, I think just snowballs him enough.
Yeah.
That she doesn't get another chance.
Yeah. And here's the thing, don't get me wrong, he's not gonna like decapitate her with a punch. She is still like super durable. She's not like a basic bitch human. She's an alien who's very fucking strong and durable. But the amount of punishment Miles can lay down consistently, it's rough out here.
Yeah, I don't think she has the stamina to outlast him, his like initial pure beating he'll give.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I think we have a winner.
I do. I think we have a winner. And this is the first time that the advantage has been enough for our lower seeds to take it over, which does make sense with the seeds being a fair bit closer anyway, as well as the advantage. But there we go. Miles advances into the next round of our Superhero Showdown bracket. Very exciting. I know you were all on the edge of your seats for that.
And as we said with the last bracket, these earlier weeks are definitely always going to be more one-sided leaning. As the bracket closes in, it gets a lot more difficult.
And when I do the seeding, I don't take into account the fight conditions, like the bloodlusted and stuff.
Yeah, you do it off face value.
Yeah, I take it at face value, which is why, yes, we were pretty quick to say Miles was one there, but that's once you add in all of the conditions and the advantage, whereas I do it at face value. But that does mean we have our first second round matchup locked in and confirmed.
Yes. Because
Miles is 6th seed, whoever comes out of the next fight, which is between the 4 and the 5, is going to be a higher seed than him, and therefore has to be against Captain America, who's the number 2 seed.
Right.
Which means Beta Ray Bill versus Miles Morales is locked in, baby.
Be a few weeks though till we get to that. Couple of weeks?
Yeah. It depends how we decide to do it.
Well,
it depends if we decide to get our finalists from the Marvel heroes before moving on to Marvel villains, or if we just do the first round of fights, and then loop back. We have time. We'll work it out.
We'll work it out.
Anyway, next week's fight. Daredevil, which is going to be hilarious because we should get Daredevil and She-Hulk next week.
We hope.
Versus Johnny Blaze, Ghost Rider. So yeah, a really cool bracket shaping up so far.
Do you mean Donny Storm?
And I'm very curious to see, because there's so many people, I can break it down small enough so that my brain doesn't try and get ahead and predict who's going to be in the final. So right now, I still have no idea who might be anywhere near that final, and it's great.
I have no clue.
Yeah, you don't even have the full bracket, do you?
Actually, no, I don't think I do.
No, I kept my second half of picks hidden from you.
Well, even if you'd given me them, I wouldn't know.
You've forgotten already. Yeah. 100%. Anyway, that is it from us over here on the Cutscene Convos podcast. You guys have been great as always. I feel we'll mention this when we mention this. We have a Forbidden Planet link down below. If you're enjoying She-Hulk, there is a newish run of She-Hulk comics out at the minute. I think they're probably only on issue like 7, maybe.
Okay.
So if you're really enjoying the She-Hulk show and you think this could be a comic character I want to read, use our link, go find some She-Hulk comics, give them a go. If you get one and really enjoy it, you can also set up a recurring subscription so that they just send you the next one straight away.
Yes, you can. Or if you don't believe us on Daredevil's humor, go and try and prove us wrong by buying a Daredevil comic and finding out if he has humor or not.
Exactly.
And then let us know in the comments.
That's a good point as well. If you're a racist, fuck you. Like the video, subscribe, ring the bell, follow us on Twitter.
If you don't like Lord of the Rings, feel free to keep commenting. We enjoy the interaction.
We love the free interaction. Anyway, have a lovely rest of your weekend. Enjoy your bank holiday. If you're a royalist who's going to get angry that I said enjoy your bank holiday, okay. Goodbye.
We'll see you next week.